punch, I want to kill that motherfucker. That's your energy. So that's gonna go into the music. That's why we love 50 from back in the day. Okay? There's a lot of motherfuckers that never picked a gun up in their life and they love 50. Right? It's because it's authentic. There was something there. So when we listen to certain music, it's authentic, right? You hear, when I drop this, I'm gonna drop a little interview I watched with Nipsey, where Nipsey was like, music is coming from somewhere else. And all artists do is they go and grab it. They go and grab it and pull it down. And then when they pull it down, they bring it down to a level where we can all understand it. But they pull that damn shit. They pull that shit down for some because they vibrating somewhere else. Creatives are not just musicians, by the way. Creatives are scientists. Creatives are podcasters. Creative people come in all different forms. Just because you whoever painted this shit, this is cool. But whoever did this, it's cool, right? They're creative, but creative people are also very, very different people. They see the world very differently. So when you have a great teacher, when you have a great scientist, or when you have a great, now I'm learning, engineer, for example, they have these creative, strategic, logical, new ways of thinking, the out the box thinking. To me, a creative is anybody that's out the box. So I don't care what you're in, if you out the box, you just created something. You just brought something to this world that no one else did or no one else saw. You're creative. You're creative. Now, one of the things that I recently just learned about, right? And I don't really know a lot about it, but I thought it was kind of interesting, was this thing called synesthesia? Synesthesia. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Hey, East New York, man. This is what happens. You from Brooklyn, you ain't always gonna pronounce your words right, but I'm trying, all right? So, synesthesia, right? They call it a neurological condition, but it's basically, just to sum it up, it's basically just a person, they say you hear sounds, you see colors, that kind of stuff, but it's basically your senses that are working together simultaneously. In other words, when I hear something, a person that has this type of condition, if they hear something, they may also see a color with it, right? So when you think about artists, like musicians, where they're like, yo, I want to see the blue when the beat drop like this, they can see the whole vision. So when I saw this and I read this, I was like, man, I'm like this in so many ways, not just through pictures, because I used to draw, I used to write when I was young, but with movement for me has always been I'll lock in. Like martial arts to me is like a language, right? It's like something that you're trying to constantly decode and figure out, where somebody might just see it just a body movement. I'm looking at it and I see philosophy, and I see colors, and I see sounds, and I see words, and I see a lot of things when I'm working with somebody, right? It's one of the reasons where if I'm working with somebody, I can sense that there's something going on more. And if I sense something that there's more going on, then I could probably work with them in a particular way and connect with them on a different level. And then they're like, all right, cool, I'm gonna let him help me. I'm gonna be a little bit more vulnerable. So because when you go to somebody and you're vulnerable, right? It's easy to be like, nah, I ain't doing this, right? Because at the end of the day, it's uncomfortable to be vulnerable. But when you are able to, if you've been doing it for a while, you're able to read energy, and you're able to even modulate people's energy or frequency. It's interesting because you're helping them. At least I hope I am, right? Because I'm only doing what was once done to me, right? Where if I go to the park and I'm angry about whatever little bullshit I was angry about, I'm doing pull-ups, and you talk to a motherfucker that just did 30 years in prison or whatever, and you looking at your life like, well, shit, I shouldn't be complaining, right? And you start to develop this willpower. You start to develop this mindset of cool, I can get through stuff. So I just took that and put it into coaching. I don't care who it is I'm talking to. I don't care, man. I work with clients that got a lot of money, and I work with people that are just normal people like me, where at the end of the day, we all need a good conversation sometimes. We all need a good push. We all need somebody in our ear to help us get through something, right? And, again, this word I'm gonna keep throwing out there, and I'm gonna tie it together at the end, which is willpower. Our bodies is the key to developing our will. So shout outs to the creatives, right? Because in my opinion, we're needed. We're needed right now. Because in this world, what we see right now, we got the platforms. We can use these things for good, right? So I love what I see when I go on certain people's pages, and I'm back on Instagram, back on all this shit, and I'm putting parameters around it because it's too much. But I like when I see some healthy stuff out there. It's making me, I want to be a part of it. You know what I mean? But there's a lot of bullshit. And because there's so much bullshit, the frequency, it keep doing the drama. It keep you disharmonized. And then that frequency now, you actually start to leave out the phone and go into the real world. And that frequency carries over. So you're starting to see, and I think I mentioned this in the last episode, you're starting to see our negative energies, whether if it's going into the phone, where if I got something nasty or negative to say, like it's crazy to me when people take the time out to write something negative to somebody, boy. It's like, yo, you really gotta be doing nothing with your life. Like, you really gotta be doing nothing to sit there and type like, yo, fuck what you doing. Wow. You ain't doing nothing. You don't gotta go to the store, nothing. Because at the end of the day, when you think about that, like in real life, your frequency must be terrible. Terrible. Like your whole energy must be terrible for you to be like, yeah. Like, wow. Check yourself on that, right? Right? I'm not actually, I don't think I've ever really done that. Because it's like, for me, it's just like I could just scroll and, like, cool, I don't agree with that. Or, well, I guess that's how that person feels, or whatever. And it's like, I deal with people in real life. If you're an asshole to me in real life, I know how to treat you, right? If you're a good person, you're a good person. Instagram is literally, or TikTok, all these social media platforms, it's designed to actually create discourse. It's designed to create and galvanize a community, but it's also designed like, oh, there's beef, there's drama. It loves Kendrick and Drake right now. It loves it. It's perfect. It's perfect. For all we know, hey, I don't know. I'm gonna just leave it at that. But for the most part, at the end of the day, the algorithm is working. The algorithm is constantly gonna keep distorting the frequency. So shout outs to the artists, because the artists are important. We need artists to put out great content, put out great work, put out output. Like, so listen to the song Hitman and Hit Boy and Nas. I said Hitman. Hit Boy and Nas, and Hit Boy got this one line where he was like, I'm focused on the outcome. I'm focused on the output and not the outcome, right? So, artists, like, just any artists out there, like, just focus on the output. What are you putting out into the world? Don't worry about the outcome, right? Worry about the outcome in its realistic form. In other words, and I'm saying this because working with people, we get into a dream state. We dream. But we know, especially if we do believe in a higher power, faith without work is dead. So after you pray, go work. Create. When it's a law. You either create, build, or you destroy. Destroy sometimes comes from inactivity. When you don't move your body and you don't take care of it, you're destroying it. Our bodies is designed to move, right? It's designed to, we gotta get out, we gotta move our bodies. Even when we feel low, we gotta get up, we gotta go get some sunlight, we gotta stretch our legs. This is real practical information. This ain't nothing new. But let's correlate it to how it all ties into how they're putting chips in your brain now and studying the electric activity. And they may just be like, well, we'll fix depression, or we'll keep them in that state for a longer period of time, or we'll make the algorithm. You already programmed. The algorithm already, they don't need to put a chip in your brain. The algorithm is already a version. So they don't need to manually put anything into your brain. They already have an external version. But it just goes to show you how powerful our brains are is a very terrible thing to waste. And the body and the brain go hand in hand. When you don't move the body, the brain can't fire properly. If the brain can't fire properly, how can you connect to the higher source? How could you? When you're on a phone, right? My posture's terrible about why I'm saying this, but I'm like, but when you're on the phone like this for hours, right? It actually changes your cervical spine, it distorts your cervical spine, and it puts excess pressure onto the disc. Now, your cervical spine is responsible for all of the major innervation of all of the major organs in your body, your heart, your lungs. People got breathing problems, people got heart problems. Your breathing is connected to your nervous system is connected to your emotions, frequency, brain waves, everything is connected. Connect the dots, right? So we hear, my chiropractor out in New York, Mr. G, he said, sitting is the new smoking. I'm like, smoking right now.